Hi, friends. We have arrived at the Beautylish Fall Gift Card event. Beautylish was kind enough to reach out in asking if I wanted to film a video speaking about the sale, my recommendations, and if I had any products on my wish list to include those in my recommendations as well. The event starts on October 20th, 9 a.m. Pacific time and ends on October 23rd, 11:59 Pacific time. During those days, for every $100 you spend, you get $20 back on a digital gift card. Now, this event is great to participate in if you don't buy throughout the year and you're waiting for this so you could get a little money back and spend it on your wish list items that maybe you had your eye on throughout the year. And of course, I think it best to just go alphabetically. It helps me keep track, and of course, all timestamps be down below if you wanted to skip over to a specific brand. And I'm going to be fairly brief, and I'll try to, because you know how long-winded I get about certain products, considering that I already have videos up. For those products that I don't have a video up for yet, I do plan to film more extensive videos on those said products. I'll let you know which those are. We'll start with Allies of Skin, and I did request the Vitamin C Brighten and Firm Serum 20%. Now, this was a surprising texture for me, and although I've only been using it for a few days, as it was just recently sent to me by Beautylish, it took a little bit of a learning curve, because last year I used a 35%, which was more of a dry oil consistency. This definitely has more of a tack to it, and I know maybe not the best word to describe it. It's like a gel oil with a little bit of tackiness to it. You can definitely smell the vitamin C upon applying it on the skin, as I do when I apply it on my face in the morning. And again, this is what it looks like. You really have to work it in so the shine can kind of go down a little bit. Now, if you've tried this, let me know down below what your experience has been. I find half a pump is more than enough for my entire face. An entire pump could feel like a little bit too much. And again, I think I was just surprised by the texture. I was expecting more of a water-based serum, but maybe that's silly, because for the vitamin C ingredient to remain stable, to be in a water-based serum that's just not going to happen. So a lot of these vitamin C derivatives have to be found in like an oil-based type of a concoction to ensure the stability and also the potency of the ingredient. So this is kind of what you get. But I have to say, however, when using it in the morning and applying my makeup over my skin after the skincare routine, I kind of like how my skin looks, I'm not gonna lie. It was giving me dewy, milky, creamy type of a texture that I think was from the Allies of Skin Vitamin C Serum. So it's very different from anything I have used before. I will continue to use it until I finish it, and will definitely provide updates then. But I wanted to try this because I've had my eye on it for quite some time, and also wanted to mention the brand because last year I used their Mandelic Serum, which I completely finished, and this I did like. It has tamanu oil in it, which provides that herbaceous scent. Might feel like whoa when you first apply it, but it does not stay, and it kind of dissipates. And I quite liked this serum when I used it. It was for exfoliation, but it was gentle, and the texture my skin was left in was marvelous. And anytime I applied my makeup, it looked beautifully smooth. ABH released a ton of products this year, but I decided just to zero in on the two eyeshadow palettes, Rose Metals and Nouveau. I have a combination of Nouveau and Danessa Myricks, but I'll get into the Danessa when we get to the Ds. These eyeshadow palettes are fantastic. I think they complement each other well, and the fact that I do think the matte formula in here shifted from the previously released ABH palettes. They're smoother, they're softer, they're easier to blend. The color curation, especially for Nouveau, I just fell head over heels for when I filmed my video using this palette. And with Rose Metals, definitely love the more grungier approach. You have a lot more metallics in here. Do you more than Nouveau? Maybe it's the same. Maybe it's the same, starting rumors. Smooth metallics with ones that have a little more shine, more burnished in finish, but again, the colors included here I think create well-rounded eye looks if they wanted to look more heavy-duty metal, again a little bit of that grit, especially with the texture as well. So those two I recommend. I can't speak for all the ABH products that release because I didn't buy them, but I could say from using these eyeshadow palettes, I like them a lot. Bioderma. I've been religiously using Bioderma for the last few years, especially during my eyeshadow palette review videos or my 6-look videos where I have to remove eye looks and it does wear on my lid skin. But the Bioderma formula is incredibly gentle. It doesn't sting, it doesn't disrupt your skin barrier in sensitizing it or drying it out. I'm sure if you keep using Bioderma 10 times a day, you might run into some issues, but the formula itself is designed to be ultra gentle on your skin. There's no fragrance. It has a refreshing, cooling sensation when you use it, and not due to any type of peppermint or menthol ingredients. It's just the freshness itself of how clean, and when I use that word clean, I think they just try to streamline the formula so it could be, again, ultra gentle and do its job. Just take your makeup off. Something to consider, however, great for eyeshadow and of course easy to remove eye pencil as well as easy to remove mascara. I will suggest, however, if you are wearing a waterproof mascara, that you do use a oil and water mixture for that removal, because the Bioderma doesn't have that strength and power to remove, like, let's say a Clio Professional Kill Lash mascara that needs a oil-based makeup remover. So just so you know, but for eyeshadow as well as for all over the face, I've used the Bioderma when applying multiple cheek products in one video, trying on different foundation shades, and again, it leaves my skin all right. It doesn't over dry it. It doesn't make it sting or just feel like sandpaper. So the Bioderma has been, again, main stage product, not only for my skincare, but just for filming my videos, period. Ensuring that my skin remains intact and it doesn't feel like sand. Thank you so much, Bioderma. Charlotte Tilbury, darling. I requested to try the Pillow Talk Multiglow Beautifying All Over highlighter. I have notes because I did film B-roll a few days ago and I would have forgotten what I did. I purchased the shade Dream Light, and this is more appealing to me than the current cheek palettes, because maybe it's because I am just overloaded with cheek palettes at the moment, and I also have a cheek palette from Mall Beauty. We'll get into the M's in a moment. I thought this was more appealing because from last year I had wanted to try this product. I think it was pretty much well received, and I applied it here on top of the Mall Beauty and then the Mall Beauty highlighter on the very tops of my cheekbones. I just enjoy a blush highlighter combination that provides that glow and that radiance without it looking overly shimmery or sparkly on the skin. And I have to give it to Charlotte Tilbury. She might have her misses, but I think across the board her cheek products, especially her highlighters, are outrageously good, and I just enjoy the color scheme here. You got 4 colors in one compact, but I would say if you just wanted to pinpoint the lighter highlighter colors, I could take a small brush, pick up the lighter parts, and apply those colors on the higher portions of my cheekbones, as well as taking it here on the bridge of the nose or wherever you like to go. But the compact is absolutely gorgeous. This pearl finish compact, the actual pan looks like the mattress. What's the tuft? Whatever that word is, that's what I'm trying to describe here. So I'm happy to have purchased this, and again, thank you for Beautylish for sending, and I recommend this product, and I'm late to the game. I'm pretty sure this has already been recommended for last year's list, but here I am. I'm just, I'm on the train. Chikuhodo. I'm sure you know the amount of Chikuhodo brushes I have in my collection, but allow me to again highlight the contour brush from the Z series line. This is made out of squirrel hair, and I use this to stamp powder in my cheek region, my hollow of the cheek region, especially with Hourglass powders that are a little more lightweight in nature. And the sheer smooth silky glide of this brush is unparalleled, and I enjoy how it feels on my skin. It doesn't move my foundation, it just plants that bronzer where I need it to go and presents a beautifully soft sculpted look. It doesn't appear overly dramatic, it's just right in terms of the placement and the application. The entire Z series line, I think, well coveted amongst Fude owners and brush enthusiasts alike. The entire line is made of squirrel hair from the face, cheek to eye brushes, so that bristle is going to offer more of a airlight finish, a lot softer, more watercolor in nature, if you will, as opposed to a goat hair brush, which Chikuhodo also has. If you want more of a robust pickup, a little more placement of color on the face, then you will go towards the goat hair route. But man, I just love this brush, and shame on me for not using it more. It was until I used the Hourglass palette that the Z contour brush, his power was revealed to me in that moment. It's in the bag, is right here in the forefront. Cirque Colors nail polish. Shame on me for not having on Cirque Colors for this video. It was 6 in the morning when I painted my nails, and I forgot to make a mental note to put on Cirque Colors nail polish on. But let me tell you something. I've worn Cirque Colors not only throughout this year, but previous years. The one nail polish I highly recommend, even amongst their just beautifully formulated magnetic multi-chromes, linear hollows, sparkly, arcly, jelly, whatevers, their black cream polish in Momento Mori. The best black nail polish in the universe. The brush is small, which I'm biased towards because my nail beds are not overly large, so to have a small brush allows me better control to paint my nails, especially with the black nail polish. And if you're asking, why would you ever consider having a black nail polish? Well, if you are a nail polish enthusiast like myself and wear lots of magnetic multi-chrome, shifting this, whatever that, to have a black base further amplifies these specialized finishes. In a way, when all is said and done, the finished look is just, it has more dimension and presence on your nail. I know I'm being dramatic, but this is what the black nail polish does, okay? Especially when you're using a jelly polish that's transparent on the first application, where if you apply Momento Mori on the nail bed before like a jelly polish that has a lot of beautiful flakes and whatever in it, my gosh, you apply 1 or 2 coats, and again, the opacity, I think, is what's important in establishing these just crazy finishes with the multi-chrome flakes and the hollow and the sparkle this and the dazzly that. So important. Have to have it in your collection. The multi-chromes, the cream polishes, the jelly polishes, outrageously great nail polish formula. I'm a huge fan. I continue to order from them, and to have them available on Beautylish during this event, yay, bonus. Danessa Myricks. You know what I'm going to show. Y'all been asking about the Lightwork 4. I know I have not been ignoring your comments, okay? When Beautylish reached out and I had the opportunity to request some products, of course I had to ask for Lightwork 4, and they graciously agreed. I will film a separate video using this palette, but I do have B-roll here where I went into Lightwork 4, applied Color Fix in Gingerbread first, just to set the eye look up. Then I went in with Nirvana on top. These multi-chrome, whatever, I don't even know how to describe this formula. It is super smooth. It just slides on the skin. Beautifully easy to pick up with a brush, incredibly easy to apply on your lid. Whether with a brush or your fingertip, the adherence is fantastic. And although this is all multi-chrome, right, you got a lot of different finishes here, I do think the approach is still simple in nature, where you can go in with just one of any of these multi-chromes, okay? And that's your look. That's your look, because the actual formula is incredibly smooth and soft. Look how it just buffs out. But see though, the shine left behind is beautifully present still. And again, If you wanted, you could just wet the shadow if you want more of that payoff, and it's all about the layering and the building, and you have that opportunity with this texture. Then you have the pressed flake formula, which is new to me. This is an interesting texture that you could pick up the actual flakes and then have that flake-like finish on top of your lid. Fantastic. We'll go into the water activated formula in a minute, but allow me to finish my B-roll explanation. I'm sorry. After I applied Nirvana on the lid, I tapped Divinity on top as well as the inner corner, and Divinity and Angels are your topper shades in Lightwork 4. They could serve as themselves, creating that just glitzy, reflective look on the inner corner, or if you wanted to really spice up the dazzle effect on any of these multi-chromes, then you could apply that texture on top, and you don't need much, just a fingertip and you're good. For the next eye, I went willy-nilly and applied out of body on the crease. And again, this formula makes it so easy to draw more graphic lines across the crease if you wanted. It was incredibly simple to achieve that. Inner corner, I applied Escapism, which is another like green to blue lime shift multi-chrome. Intuition, okay, here's a water activated formula. Wow, a little water goes a long way to have that creamy consistency, which I think ideal when using a fine tip brush, and I applied it as a wing liner and also a little kind of swoopy swoop on my inner corner. You know, I was feeling very adventurous that day. And then I picked up a little bit of Heaven and I applied that on the open space of my lid to just introduce another texture to the look. And woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, this is a fun palette. Again, I'll come on here to do the swatches, maybe do 6 looks, because that's just the minimum for me, okay? And compared to Lightwork 3, you definitely have more textures in Lightwork 4, right? The middle row is basically like your iridescent moment where you could use these as highlighters, or transformer shades where the shift kind of influences whatever color you apply these on. You also have Black Hole, which I like to have in these types of palettes. It's your cream black base, which best sets up all these multi-chromes here, as well as Polaris and Spacesuit. You got your creams there. Orion is like your pressed glitter. So it's hard for me to establish which is my favorite. I think I have to use them at the same time to arrive at that conclusion. But Lightwork 4 is a ball, and if you adore these types of finishes and multi-chromes, I mean, it's a party in here. Utterly and completely. And Danessa's Blurring Skin Balm, which I have like 4 shades of. Universal Balm if you just need something to mattify your face, or you can use any of these shades included in the line. I especially used it a lot during the summertime, but I have to revisit it now as the seasons are changing. Will be interesting to discover how now, because my skincare is different as well, how my skin will take the blurring balm, but I will keep you updated. But another product I had to recommend in this video because I enjoyed that one as well. Good Molecules. Man, I requested the acne foaming cleanser. I don't have acne, but I do like sometimes to use a salicylic acid based cleanser in the morning just to kind of slow off what came off overnight, since I do use tretinoin and I use a lactic acid serum. Very nice. A creamy foam. When I first used it, I smelled, I think, like that medicated scent. Not overwhelming, but I did notice it. Not bad now that I've been using it a lot more often, but I do like how my skin feels afterwards. It does not feel stripped or overly dried. It's almost like the treatment stayed on my skin and there was no burning, no discomfort whatsoever. And so that is a great addition to my Good Molecules line. But man, I have to shout out the fact that I've been using the heck again out of their rose water cleansing gel, their silicone free priming moisturizer, and my favorite makeup remover is their instant cleansing balm. This is an empty tin. An empty tin. I'm halfway through my current tin. I think I've used maybe like 4. It's my favorite because it's fragrance free. It's smooth on the application. It slides and glides over the skin. It rinses easily without no strange residue left behind, and it doesn't smell oddly fragrance free. There have been fragrance free balms I use that smell strange. I don't know how they accomplished that, but Instant Cleansing Balm, by far my favorite so far, and I always love to recommend Good Molecules in that they have an incredible price point. It's inexpensive, but I do think the products themselves are effective and consistent. I've enjoyed using these products over the few years, and anytime Beautylish has a gift card event, always have to include them on my list. Hindash, definitely the stars of the brand for me, are his Beautopsy palette and the pink one. What is it called, for crying out loud? I think these are great for travel, as you have, although yes, all matte, you just have all the opportunities here to set your concealer, foundation, to give you a little eye look, contoured eye look, cheek product situations, however you want to go with the blush, with just a bronzer or sculpting moment. I think just the minimalist approach to Hindash in terms of the packaging, and also the simplicity in the products where everything is in one place, slim, it doesn't take up much space in your beauty bag, so I think ideal for travel as well. It's just condensed in that way, but still impactful in terms of what it delivers, especially his last release with the violet and the blue colors. Those powders are exceptionally soft and silky, and to have those types of shades in a palette where it might look like, whoa, I don't know if I could use those shades. When I review this palette on my channel, and I'll make sure to post that video down below, I was just impressed by how easy and accessible those shades were when applying them and how they appear on the eyes. It didn't appear like you had a blue eyeshadow on. It was like a denim blue, and with the violet it had a little bit of warmth in there. So again, the shades were accessible, but the texture even more so. I think beautifully simple for a beginner to use, and the results that I received from using both palettes were exceptional. And I actually have to find that palette. I have no idea where it is. I have to look around in all the makeup stuff that I have, but that has been a favorite as well. Hourglass, what can I say? The most recent Soft Glow Ambient foundation, as well as the Lighting Edit palettes, I think have been a hit across the board. I do have two foundations on, the 11 and 11.5. 11 is the more neutral, 11.5 has a little bit of peach in there, 11.5 in the center, 11 around the perimeters of my face. And I've said this over and over again in my favorites videos, in the Hourglass video, this foundation is exceptionally beautiful. It just kind of erases all my imperfections without actually looking like makeup. I do think you have to be conservative with how much you apply. That will ensure the best finish, in my opinion. I think that is the critique I have with this foundation and Hourglass foundations in general, that to kind of pin down your shade might be difficult, because based on how the shades look online versus how they look in real life, there's a little disconnect there. But I'm happy I narrowed it down to these two. 11 could have worked fine on its own, but I do like 11.5 just to add a little vibrancy to the complexion. And I've been using the Tiger palette, which unfortunately, if you do order this from Beautylish, you will order the palette as is. To customize it is an Hourglass exclusive, so the Tiger palette will have the more copper tones in there. But I have palette 1, which was the curation designed for medium skin tones. I've been using the heck out of this palette. Great for travel. For the arguments that I presented why Hindash's palettes are great for travel, is that you just got everything in one place. You have the under eye setting, all over setting, very soft in terms of the texture. These are baked, and again, the finish these powders leave behind, it's just that soft, luminous, blurred, soft focus finish. A little bit of everything in there, and all those things that I mentioned are what I like on my skin. And I was going back and forth between whether to buy the copper tones or just keeping with the one I have, and I'm very happy I decided to stick with the medium tone shades. These pinks are outrageously beautiful. The bronzer is perfect, and again, I used the Chikuhodo brush to stamp a little more of the bronzer if I just wanted a little more structure to the hollows, you know? The palette itself, the design, is gorgeous. Mob Beauty. We've arrived at Mob Beauty. This brand has been on my radar ever since I received the email from Beautylish introducing it to their retail shop, and I was intrigued by the fact that the palettes are customizable. You could pick your own cream bronzer or powder bronzer, and the packaging also easy to recycle. They very much try to embrace sustainability in terms of using materials that are not wasteful, are easy to recycle. I ordered 2 powders and 2 cream products because I just had to. Mob Beauty also has the 6-panner and the palette for eyeshadows. I just decided to stick to the cheek products, but I've been using the heck out of this palette. And I'll start with the cream bronzer. This is in M77 Golden Brown. It's a cream clay bronzer in 4 shades, and the clay in there is to add that soft matte finish without it looking drying on the skin, but still long wear at the same time. This for me serves as like an all-over toaster. It definitely kind of browns up my complexion. It doesn't have the same sculpting properties like a bronzer powder would, but I do like how my skin appears when applying the Mob Beauty cream bronzer. Again, it just sinks into my skin in a way that gives it that bronzed hue, but not because it looks sculpted, but just because I added that color to my complexion. And I also ordered the cream clay blush in M74, and I ordered the shade Rosewood because you know me and my roses. Also a soft matte finish like the cream bronzer. Incredible shade. And I've been applying my bronzer right under my eyes as of late, and I adore that finish. This is a shade that's just beautifully perfect for every day. And the texture for both the cream bronzer and blush are incredibly easy to use. They're emollients, they're easy to blend on the skin, and I think it pretty long wear for it being a cream, having that emollients on the initial application, but it has good staying power at the same time. But what I like to do to ensure its staying power is to apply the powder blush. I have this in the shade M19, and I have Honey Rose. The name Honey Rose, completely and utterly compelling. I apply this on top of the cream blush to not only further the staying power, but to amplify the color itself. Beautifully perfect shade for me. Great for every day. It's not too bubblegum pink, but not too my skin tone either, like not too warm peachy. It's right there in the middle, and I think beautifully unique, and I had to grab that color when I saw it on the Mob Beauty blush roster lineup. I was like, yep, that's gonna be mine. And for highlighter M51, I ordered Shimmering Rose Gold, Finely Crushed Pearls, Talc Free, Smooth Amino Acid Coated Pigments to ensure that soft focus finish, it says here on the Mob Beauty product page. I'm happy I went with the Rose Gold because it definitely gives me that right amount of highlight without it looking too icy, but it not being too bronzy either, where if I turn forward, you'll see a shade on my cheekbone. It has the perfect amount of light, and it does have that soft focus finish. It's not overly shiny or metallic. It's a great texture, I think, for a highlighter, and I whip it on everything when I apply the cream bronzer, cream blush, the powder blush, and then a highlighter. And for this look, I applied it over the Charlotte Tilbury because the Charlotte Tilbury has a little bit of everything, so I think that really nice on the lower part of my cheek, and then the Mob Beauty here on the upper part of the... What a nice combination. I traveled with this over the weekend, and again, I just think it a fantastic palette. I don't know if this was a TikTok trend. I'm not on TikTok, so yay me. I dotted the cream bronzer, dotted the cream blush, and then I applied the foundation on the open part, blended everything together, and that left behind like that perfect no makeup look. And it's just fantastic to have it all in one palette. The palette construction, I think, pretty nice. It has the magnetic closure. There's no mirror, but I'm cool with that, right? Here's the back where you could pop out the palettes and change them as you like. Not super heavy, so I think this is fantastic for travel as well. Sure, it might not have setting powders like the Hourglass or Hindash palettes do, but I just brought along like a little mini something to set my under eyes with. And as we approach wintertime, I might just forego setting my under eyes anyway at this point. You know, it's just one of those things. If it starts to gather, I'll just tap it, you know, put it back where it belongs. Natasha Denona, of course, the latest Dream collection, which I spoke about at length, not only in my Dream collection video, but in my recent September favorites. The palette is one of my most favorites from the brand. The Dream palette is the standout for me out of the collection, and of course, one of my standout recommendations for the gift card event. The cheek trio, up to you if you like that cheek color. I've again said that might not be my most favorite, but I do love the powder highlighter. That is like super high shine, more high shine than a Ma Beauty, but beautifully smooth on the skin. I have been using the My Dream lip gloss a lot, although not crazy about it on top of the lipstick because it's a little too cool mauve on me, but that has been a go-to in having a creamy lip gloss, very high shine but comfortable on the lips at the same time. And with all the Natasha Denona palette videos that I have on my channel, I mean, if you want to go and search, just do Alicia Archer, Natasha Denona, and I'll just pop right up. I have a playlist also, so if you want to do a little more exploring within the Natasha Denona brand, I'm being very brief again because I could just go full on depth about each and every palette, but to make it a little more simple, if you want to go to separate palette videos to get more perspective on it, then I totally understand. RCMA, I had to include them on this list because I am still using their favorites palette, series favorites palette in Shinto. This is fantastic for travel as well. You have so many different undertones in here that you could just whip around on your face. I actually used, I think, these two colors here for my concealer today. Okay. On top with the Hourglass foundation, it was a perfect combination. And I remember when I brought this along to Bay's house and applied it on my skin, it was one of those moments where I was like, you forgot how great this was, didn't you? Fantastic. I know it might not be a favorite for everyone because it is very emollient, and some of you have said the staying power is okay because I think maybe the base it has an oil base. I'm not entirely sure, but RCMA is fantastic. Their customer service, outrageously good. If you had any questions about their products, about how their undertones work or what have you, you could call them up and they will hold your hand through whatever questions you have. But I had to include this on the recommendations list because I still use it till this day, and I think it's an incredible product. Sonia G. Listen, what else can I say? I recently reviewed Sonia's Fusion Eye series brush set. So lovely. Perhaps one of my most favorite brush sets from her. The Fusion series for the face, outrageously good. It released last summer. I still use those brushes till this day, but the recent edition of the Fusion eye brushes, my goodness. I've been using the heck out of those brushes because it now makes it so incredibly easy to use with eye cream products that I just not have used, but now have welcomed the notion of just using one eyeshadow. Isn't that crazy? It's nice to just dip into a pot, use one of Sonia's Fusion eye brushes, whip it on your lid, through the crease, lower lash line, maybe tap a little sparkly arcly, and you're done. You're done. That itself, I miss that. I miss that approach to makeup because I kind of got enveloped by the extravagant eye looks, the 50 pan shadow palettes, you know, the Dream collection palette that I just mentioned. I like to combine eyeshadow. That's something I love to do. But there is something so incredibly relieving and just satisfying when all you use is a cream eyeshadow, smooth on the lid, that perfect amount of smoke and contour. You don't need much, a little bit of mascara, and you're done. You're done. With a fresh face of Ma Beauty or whatever you want to put on your cheeks. It's a perfect combination. And all her other brushes, the bronzer brush that I also spoke about. Oh my goodness. Talk about having the perfect amount of density and flow at the same time. When it comes to bronzer powders and just using those formulas with a brush that leaves behind structure but diffusement of the highest power is fantastic. So if you want to see a video of me demoing the bronzer brush as well as her eye fusion series, I will make sure to link those down below. But yeah, Sonia G anything. knock yourself out. Surratt Beauty, of course, I have to mention their brushes as well. They're mostly made out of gray squirrel, especially their eye brushes, as well as the cheek brush. This is one of my most favorite cheek brushes out of all the cheek brushes that I have. Round ferrule, very smooth on the skin, direct at the same time. And although this is an eyeshadow brush, I use it for under eye setting and also finishing throughout the crease, and a little swirl and twirl around on the entire face too, you know, highlighter, forget it. This is multi-use. Their powders are like silk, especially their blushes. Oh my goodness, it just swims on your skin and it doesn't look dry. It has a translucency, but the pigment still intact, where your skin shows through and it doesn't look like that dry powder finish. The same thing with the eyeshadow, and then they have different pots and they have a different creamy, like a moussey creamy texture that you could apply first on your lid and then any of their special effects shadows on top. So Surratt Beauty, I think, is very sophisticated and elegant with their cosmetics, and I always have to mention them because I have their makeup as well. I use their brushes still, and although I have to find them in my collection, again, because with me acquiring so much makeup, I have to constantly remember what I own and my favorites so I know to use them, and again, just continually be reminded of how incredible these products are. Viseart goes without saying, and they just released a new palette that I have on my radar, but I recommended Viseart to be one of my holy grail eyeshadow products because the Edit series, the Attendu series, the Petite Four, the 8 pan shadows, Viseart just holds it down. Like, they don't fail you. The mattes are incredibly easy to use, super easy to blend. And yes, maybe the shimmers are not going to be like super in your face, but again, there's something nice about using a texture that's not going to leave you looking like disco ball eyes. And I know some of you live that life every day. Listen, that's a great life to live. There are other people that are like, look, I like a little bit of sparkle, but I want it to be simple and easy to apply. The colors themselves are just thoughtful in terms of how everything is curated in one palette. No matter how you mix and match and layer, you will be left with beautiful eye looks. There's just a softness and, how can I explain? Again, elegance to Viseart, not only with the textures, but also the colors and the undertones chosen for these palettes. And important because when you start to mix and match, you will never run into any muddy moments whatsoever. So you could go willy-nilly with how you combine the different textures, whether it's a shimmer or a metallic or a satin or a matte, and everything is harmonious because the formula is on lock, is reliable, is consistent, and fantastic for beginners to professionals alike. And we'll end this video with Wayne Goss. Wayne Goss has a lot of products. He has his makeup products, he has his brush products, which he started his brand with brushes, and by far my most favorite items from his brand. I have the Artist series here. I think this might have been discontinued, but the Artist series, still one of my most favorite designs from him. I like these goat hair brushes better than, I think it was his second face set, I can't recall. The Squirrel Brush series is fantastic as well. I use the Squirrel Brush number 4 quite a lot, but the Artist series, to have this taper in all different sizes. So I think there are 2 more sizes after the eyeshadow brush, but the medium size brush, ooh, the calligraphy inspired shape for this set is incredible to use, especially the eye brush. To have this point is so satisfyingly nice to use this with shadow and buff mattes through the crease because of how it's shaped. The shorter bristles here beautifully diffuse the shadow, but you get the perfect placement because of the point. And the medium-sized brush, so fantastic for blush, especially if you just want something more whipped in nature, but it to look lightweight and not heavy on the skin. The bristles move beautifully across the face, and again, the variety in sizes, but the same shape throughout the set is just one of the standout characteristics and why I love the those brushes so much. So those are my recommendations, fam. Let me know what yours are down below. If you're gonna participate, if you're gonna wait it out, what items are on your radar. And again, a huge thank you to Beautylish for not only having me participate in the event, but also for sending these products. I'll see you down in the comments, fam, and until then, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you on here again with another review tutorial, recommendations video, or Danessa Lightwork 4 video coming up soon. Take care, and I will see you again soon.